If anybody can do it.
So basically, what you're asking is, can we edit a LinkedIn video in the same way that a Hollywood movie director edits their videos?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I feel like today I am giving away my best kept secret. This episode is actually a behind the scenes look of a conversation between me and Connor Clayton. Now, Connor is the editor for Video on Easy Mode that has worked with me on over 100 client projects. And this is a strategy session where we are literally brainstorming ways to best deliver the best possible videos when it comes to our clients. So you are going to walk away with a bunch of tips that you can apply to your videos as well. Plus, you're going to hear about our visual hook strategy, which brings the audience in without you having to repeat some kind of, again, pre-written words at the beginning. Plus, you're also going to get a strategy of how to turn your everyday conversations into high impact content that helps you generate leads. So if you want your LinkedIn videos to actually grow your brand and generate business for you, this is one that you're going to want to pay attention to. Let's get into it. So there's a couple of concepts that I'm playing with today, right? Okay. One of the concepts is that everybody is trying to edit your videos. There's a million people like that are out there trying to edit your videos. Mm-hmm. And you are... So like, how do you compete with the millions of people? How do you stand out as a video editor when there are 100 million people that are out there trying to edit your videos?
Because there's things more important than views. Look, if you come to me and say, I want to go viral, I can help you go viral. That's not an issue whatsoever. But what's the point in going viral as a business owner? Would you rather views or leads? Because views don't pay the bills. That's my approach. So my editing style is designed to help you generate interest in your business rather than trying to help you go viral.
Got it. So that was one idea. And then the other idea was kind of like you and I doing a little brainstorm on some of the things that I've been thinking about when it comes to content.
Okay.
And like some of the things that I want to see, like maybe us doing with like our own content and with the client content.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay. All right. So lead the way on that one, man. But like, because obviously that's your bread and butter. But how I can then take that and apply it to mine. Okay. All right.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, now here's another one that's really interesting too. Okay. A client came to me. I just signed a new client and she came to me and I asked her, I said, what kind of style do you like? And she gave me a couple of examples. One was from Christo, and then one was from, a guy who's more doing like a man on the street kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know how we're going to incorporate man on the street into her thing. But she goes, there's one that I didn't put on the sheet that I really am very interested in. And what she was saying that she likes is Guy Ritchie.
The actor?
He's the director, right? He's an actor.
The director. Okay.
So like the movie Snatch and all these movies. So he's like a movie producer or whatever. And and his movies have like a certain look and feel to them. And she was like, can we get my videos to have like a Guy Ritchie kind of look? And I was like, if anybody can do it.
Okay. So basically what you're asking is, can we edit a LinkedIn video in the same way that a Hollywood movie director edits their videos?
Yes.
Right. Okay. It depends who it is. Like if you said it was Quentin Tarantino, then there'd be a lot of blood effects going on. Things like
Challenge accepted though? What do you think?
Why not, man? Why not? If you send me a couple of links to the examples, I'll see what I can do. Like if is this a premium style?
This is a premium. Yes,
I had a feeling because we're not doing that one on a
pro. No, we're not doing it for us. Like no. This is I'm more. What we kind of need to do is just take a look at a couple of Guy Ritchie scenes or whatever.
Yeah,
and I think that's what we do. I think this is what we do in this video, in this podcast episode. Right?
I like that.
So we pump a couple of cool like Guy Ritchie clips in here. And then we take the conversation that you and I are having and see if we can add a little Guy Ritchie flavor into it.
Okay. All right. Why not?
What do you think? What do you think of that?
Why not? Why not? Man? Challenge accepted. That's something different for me to do.
All right, cool. Now again, we're incorporating a few different elements here, right? Wanted to chat with you about the recent videos that we did for Evan.
Okay.
Okay. So the approach was very different from the first session to the second session with Evan, right? Because some people work better just kind of like just shooting from the hip, and me not like kind of guiding them on where to go, right?
Right.
And I saw that with Evan, and I saw it in the videos. Like the videos were so much better in the second round.
Appreciate it.
And I mean, we could tell that from, you know, he has somebody that advises him on the content, right?
Yeah.
And that person had a lot of things for us on the first round.
Yeah.
And then she came back on the second round and was like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I love it. That
right?
just, it's music to my ears when that happens, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I was thinking is I'm trying to get more videos. I think I'm trying to do more in that style. I have somebody that advises me on like my content, and what they told me was that I need to shorten up my stuff. And he's like, your second line is always way better than your first line. And he's like, take the second line and turn it into the hook.
Okay.
And I'm just like, okay, all right. And what I've kind of been realizing is that hooks are way less important than and I don't want to say that they're less important, but the way that we do hooks is changing, right? And I think what's coming to an end is this very like kind of clickbaity style hook.
I agree.
Like, I think that we're done with this video is so good, or this video trick is so good that it could be illegal, or like secret website to do this. I think we're getting to the point where we're done with that, right?
I think honesty and sincerity in what you're talking about usually is the way to go. So, but you always, one thing I've noticed with your hook production, you follow that up with some sort of credibility. So just like we were talking earlier, so if I said, I've edited nearly 5,000 videos in my life, and the biggest pain in the ass I see is this. So like it's a hook combined with credibility. So I think sincerity in trying to genuinely help combined with your credibility usually is the best hook, in my opinion.
Right.
That's what I like in my personal opinion.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because like, I think what I've been doing is I've been doing the hook, right? So like whatever it is. And then I go into like, well, I edited, or, you know, I've helped 100 people create videos, and this is what I've seen. And ultimately you don't need that. We don't need the beginning part.
No.
And what we can do is we can replace that beginning part with just some quick text on screen that helps to set the expectation of obviously what is happening in the video. So like we can depend less on that verbal hook that like feels unnatural to pull people into the content.
Absolutely. So for example, the visual hook element versus the spoken hook element, I think is, I think it's, like you said, I think we're overcomplicating that hook. So the hook does not need to be spoken by the person on camera. So if I opened the video by saying, and I think I found this out, because we've been including visual hooks a lot more than we have just been reliant on the subject saying it, whether that's you or anyone else we've been working with. So if I immediately go into my point, but the visual hook actually does the explanation to the audience for me, then that kind of it's kind of got multiple benefits, because A, I don't have to waste time in saying it, and B, I can just jump straight into my content, but the visual hook actually takes care of that. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want to rely too much on that visual, on the spoken hook element, but I think it's worth a massive A/B test.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you feel like's been working on the visual hook side? How do you think we improve that? What do you think's been working? What do you think we can do better on that side?
I think the power word element really helps, and I think the sort of as we spoke about with Travis Brown a little while ago, the kind of aspect of bringing your YouTube thumbnail style into your visual hook. So the same sort of approach you take for a thumbnail as to your hook. I don't think too many people do that. So if we design that with that in mind, so approach it from that way. So any visual hook I create, if I wouldn't put that on a thumbnail, that shouldn't be as a visual hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, the visual hook, we kind of came to this realization together.
Yeah.
Which is like the visual hook should essentially be like a YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly. So the last one I did for you, let's take you as an example. The last one I did for you, the text on the thumbnail was 10x your leads. So 10x your leads. And it was that PNG image of you going like that. You know what I mean? With your hands together like that. So in theory, so you popping up in the bottom along with the visual hook saying 10x your leads just above that, and slightly above that is the captions that are going on, and then it's you also just basically carrying on with the video. That would translate perfectly from a YouTube thumbnail to a visual hook, and it would have the same effect, in my opinion. Because the essence of a visual hook versus a YouTube thumbnail, don't forget when it comes to a YouTube thumbnail, people have actually seen that thumbnail and they've made the conscious effort to click. So the onus isn't really on you to hook them in as much because you're not stopping the scroll. They've actually taken the conscious decision to click. Whereas if they're scrolling on the likes of Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, you have to get them to stop scrolling. So in a sense, with YouTube and using YouTube thumbnails, people know what they're about to watch. So it's probably within your best interest to immediately just crack on with the video, as opposed to short form where you've got to hook them in with the visual hook. So there is a difference there. So applying the YouTube thumbnail to the visual hook actually makes perfect sense in that case, because it has the same effect, but just in a different platform.
Totally.
Yeah.
Agreed. Beautiful.
I feel like that could have been a video on its own. That.
Oh, well, it's been interesting with these podcasts. I've been struggling with them because I wasn't going into it with like, this is ultimately what I want to do. I was going into it with like, hey, let's try to figure out. Now I'm going into it like, this is what I want to do. But then I came into this one with like, there's a few things that I want to do.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. However, I think your approach with this, like you've got a natural advantage over anyone who basically just runs a podcast, because with what you do, you've naturally got to get on camera with these people, like regardless of whether you're recording for a podcast or not. So it makes sense for you to double down on your efficiency with time wise and just and use that as a podcast itself, I think. So have you basically considered the idea of, rather than getting on camera with the people and recording a podcast, but obviously you're creating a video with them anyway, basically, why don't you just choose people that week who you feel like you could actually do this with, people who you're more comfortable with, let's say the likes of Mel, Evan, anyone like that, and just use that as the podcast. So you're killing two birds with one stone, rather than saying, okay, the point of this is the podcast, but we're going to make a video. I think you should instead go.
I'm already doing it.
You're already doing that now?
No. You're saying like, I'm already doing the work, like term precisely I'm already doing into the podcast instead of me doing additional work.
Precisely. So it's an example like, so I will, if I've got a big editing job on my hands, sometimes I'll stick a camera in the corner and record the screen at the same time. So it's a time-lapse edit, and then I can show the before and after, but I'm killing two birds with one stone. But my intention is to sit down and edit. I'm creating content at the same time. That's just a bonus. However, in the case of you, rather than going into this video being, the point is to make a podcast, but we're going to make a video as a bonus. Rather, you should instead be saying, we're here to make a video, but we're going to create a podcast as a bonus.
Yeah.
I think you should flip it.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, I think that's certainly something that we could do. Cause like, there was something that we did. I think it was, I don't know whether it was in this most recent session with Mel or in the previous session with Mel, where she recorded a video and it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it could be better. And like, let's do another take and let's make it better. And here's what I want you to change. And I almost like was like, oh, could we do like a before and after and show like the two videos? Like, this is what we started with. And then this is like what we ended up with. Right. So, yeah, I feel I've been thinking about that too. Is like, can I pull a clip from like the recent one with Ken and turn that into a into one of the podcast episodes? Like,
I mean, assuming the person you're speaking with is on board, like I see no reason why not. Let's be fair. Every single recording session you do, you've probably assisted someone in a way that would be very, very beneficial to someone else. But we haven't actually put that clip out on your YouTube channel or Spotify or whatever to make it accessible to people. So it's worth it in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? So like, if you recorded a clip with Mel and you said, I like it, but I just want to change this hook I want to change this XY hook that you said for XYZ reason. That that specific thing that you changed could be something that someone else is struggling with. And
Right.
so, do you know what I mean? So I think, personally, if I were you, like I'd want to be doing that with every single episode, because the amounts of hours you spent on camera with people is crazy.
I know.
Absolutely crazy.
It's been the last couple weeks. It's been like insane, and this week is no different. Like it's
and that makes it more attractive to people watching who would potentially want to do the same thing with you, because whilst they're watching the recording, they can't step in and A, ask you a question, or B, say, well, what would you do if this was for me? Or I wonder how we do this for me. So you already have the behind the scenes elements ongoing, which I completely get, but we've started with the process of, okay, the intent here is to create a podcast, but we're going to create a video as an extra thing. Whereas opposed, you should be saying, we're here to create a video, but we're going to create more social media content, more YouTube content as a main thing. Do you know what I mean? So you get in front of camera a lot and do dedicated YouTube videos, which, don't get me wrong, like absolutely right thing to do. I need to do it more. But I think the crust of your content should be, here's what I do for a living. Here's what it looks like. Sometimes I'm going to make it really short. Sometimes I'm going to show you the whole friggin' session. Why not, man? Why not?
right. I love it. This is a good brainstorm session.
Yeah.
I feel like we could turn this like entire, you know what? We should challenge number 2.
All right. No problem.
Let's figure out how to turn this brainstorm session into a YouTube video, a long form YouTube video.
Why not?
Like I mean, because there's a lot of back and forth on like brainstorming good stuff here, and my camera's moving because I'm moving my hands. I hate that.
Well, first and foremost, have you ever seen an episode where a producer speaks to his editor?
No,
exactly. So we're one up there.
that's true.
Yeah. So, and in a sense, so think of it like, you know, when we have these behind the scenes sessions where we basically we'll look at analytics, or we'll discuss how things are going. So we might come to a conclusion that XYZ of my editing needs to be changed over to ABC, or your ABC approach with recording content with the clients needs to be changed over to XYZ. So the reasons we discuss that why, they will be useful to other people. We just keep them between ourselves. So, and it depends how public you want to go with that. So every time you discuss something with someone, assuming it's not confidential, that in itself usually is good enough for content. So, and this is what I keep saying. So it depends on the nature of the business that the person is in. Like I said, it could be confidential. You could be talking about absolutely private stuff. But if you're brainstorming your analytics, and you think, let's say we're brainstorming your analytics on YouTube, and we see your your click-through rate is slightly low, and we're brainstorming ways of how to get your click-through rate up. The ideas that we come up with will probably be of use to people. And so in itself, it's like the thumbnail is like we're fixing a poor poor click-through rate, or we're fixing a crap call to action. Don't make our mistake, and here's what we want to do differently. Do you know what I mean? So.
You know what? That means that I need you for more videos now.
No problem, man.
You just made extra work for yourself. As long as you enjoy doing it. But hey, you know what? Maybe you could use it as content too.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Yeah,
you could use it as content too. Then it's worth your time, because that's time that you don't have to spend making more content.
Precisely. So your business needs my elements, and my business needs your elements. So if I'm discussing your elements and you're discussing my elements, then inevitably there's going to be stuff that my audience can use and your audience can use. So why not capture the hell out of everything and then use that to lean on your long form content? But I'm not saying don't get in front of the camera specifically for long form YouTube videos. That you need to do that. Like it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for you to not to do that. But it depends how much more behind the scenes you want to get. And then, but you're already showing a lot of things behind the scenes. So it depends to what extent you want to do with that. So I think the more open and transparent you are with your processes, I think the more people are likely to trust you even more. So, and I think as long as you start doing that, you might get to the point where on sales calls, then people have zero questions. Like, I know everything I need to know. I know what you do. I know what the processes are. I just need to know the price, essentially.
It's true. We're getting to that point. Plus, like I said, I mean, at this point, 95% of my business is yours, and 95% of your business is mine. So it's, we're just we're basically partners at this point.
We were literally just thinking that the other day. We're at that point now.
Cool. Well, look, this was great. You're gonna make this great. We're gonna make this great together.
Yeah.
We're going to make it great. We're going to do it together.
I love that, man.
All right. So I hope you got some really good insight from this brainstorm session with Connor. Now, if you want Connor and I's support to make creating video content so much easier than it is for you right now, please reach out to me. We can help you put your video on easy mode. We have done this for hundreds of founders and hundreds of companies. We streamline the video creation process so that you can create a month's worth of videos in under 1 hour, stress-free. Head on down to the description below to get some more info on video on easy mode, see some samples, get a behind the scenes look at the process. It's all in there for you. Or you could just message me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is also in the description, and I will see you on the next one.